بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء نحوا سنقرئك فلا تنسى
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Here's the summary of our lecture given with regards to the FAJR issue in Scandinavia, in northern regions, northern hemisphere of the earth. The issue is like this, that we don't have real FAJR. So what is the definition between, what is the difference between real FAJR and metaphorical FAJR? First of all, just let me show you this. This is a chart which shows that sun is setting down. It's going down, 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 and then it reaches 90 degrees below the horizon, and then it starts to rise back again from 90 to 80, 70, 60, and then comes to 20. And then 18 degrees. See, the angle is 18 degrees to the horizon. This is the horizon, 18 degrees left. Here, many scholars, many experts, they say that this is the time of the FAJR in normal days. Some experts say it's 16 degrees. When the sun goes further up, 16 degrees. Some experts say in northern hemisphere, it's between 16 to 14 degrees. So some say 15, some say, it all depends on not the angle itself, but the observation and the experience. The experts, how did they define it? So this is now the real FAJR. So again, if you look here, the real FAJR will be when the sun is starting to rise. It will be 18 in some places, according to some experiences, 16, some places, some experiences, 15, some places, some experiences. But in summertime, in northern hemisphere, the sun does not go below 18 or below 16. So like in Trollhättan, our city, the sun goes to 16 and then it rises back up. So now we have this. The sun goes down, 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 down. Okay, 16. And it stays there in 16 almost in a sluggish movement. So that means there is a very minor curve. Very minor curve. It's not like many assumed it goes down and then comes back. So that's the point of the midnight. No. So it goes in a curve, but when it comes on 16, it stays in 16 for a while, and then it starts to rise up. So what is the law? What is the ruling about this FAJR? Ayatollah al-Udma Sayyid Ali S Sistani DZ and many other MARAJE who has the same theory, they say that in these days when you don't have real FAJR, you look into the sky, look visual. There's a visual emphasis. There's an emphasis on visual observation. Observe in the sky. And you will see the light is decreasing, 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 and to a point when it reaches the minimum decrease, and then it starts back again to rise, the light starts to increase. He says the moment you see the light starts to increase, that's your FAJR. The moment you see the light in the sky starts to increase, that's your FAJR. That's the time you abstain from food and drink, and the invalidators of fasting, and that's the time where you start, you offer Salat al-Fajr. Now, so this is the religious ruling. Now, let's see how it is applied. Some scholars and some experts, they said that it's obvious. This is assumption. This is a theory. Practically, it's not proven in every place in Sweden or in Scandinavian region. So they said that the sun goes down and then reaches to a point and then starts to rise back again after the midnight. So the moment it starts to rise from midnight, It's the midnight, astronomical midnight, which is opposing the astronomical midday. So if the midday dhuhr was 1 o'clock, that means your Salat al-Fajr has to be 1 o'clock. This was before 2015. They used to say that it goes and then immediately starts to rise. And once it starts to rise, it's obvious, see, it's assumption, it's obvious that the light starts to increase. But the reality is not like that. The reality, it stays down in a very sluggish rise, very unnoticeable rise. Okay, so then in 2015, this theory, they said, once you reach astronomical midnight, you give half an hour, 30 minutes, and then you do your Salat al-Fajr. So before it was 1 o'clock at night, and then after that, 1:30 at night, you pray Salat al-Fajr. And then, because the sun, you might, after half an hour, you might see the obviousness, because it's all about obvious change. Why Islam is too much emphasizing on naked eyesight? Islam is a religion of everybody, every responsible person. So that means, especially when it comes to the salat, the prayer, salat is an obligatory thing on every responsible person. How can Allah make defining this time of salah so complicated that you require astronomers, you require equipments, you require infrared and whatsoever, those kind of telescopes, and it's all wrong. It's all wrong. That's why you can't rely on these things. It's a simple religion, and it is an obligation for everybody. That means everybody is able to distinguish Fajr. According to one of the hadith or narrations of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, one of the Imams, he used to tell his maid, his servant, lady servant, can you check the horizon, please? So they'll say, oh, the Fajr has risen. So he would not even sometimes by himself observe. So it's not so complicated issue. You just have to see when the light starts to rise after it reaches the minimum. So that's what the fatwa says. So Ayatollah Uthman Sayyid Ali Sistani says, in these days, when we don't have, when the sun does not go below 16 degrees, or below 18 degrees, or below 15, whatsoever degree you take, at that time, you have to look at the sky. And this is the responsibility of every single person, he says. So it's not just astronomers and experts, and it's not so complicated. It's easy. Islam has made it easy for us to pray. So as long as you don't realize that the whiteness has started to increase, or the light has started to increase, excuse me, that is not your Fajr. So you still can eat and drink until you see that distinguishing point when the light starts to increase. So that is the thing. Now, so to pinpoint this light, some scholars, they refer to experts, and that's how they went this triangular position, that the sun goes down, 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 and reaches to the midnight, which is 90 degrees opposing the midday, and then starts to rise. The moment it starts to rise, that's Fajr. According to our experience in Trollhättan, that was totally wrong. Totally wrong. Midnight is never Fajr here. And the cities south of Trollhättan, like Gothenburg, Göteborg, Malmö, Helsingborg, all these, the cities down, definitely the midnight is not the Fajr. Because it depends on the assumption that the sun goes like this and reaches the maximum, and then it rises back again, and that's the time theoretically it's right, theoretically it's okay, but practically that's not the case. Practically it does not. Sun does not go like this and like that. So they said, okay, so once the sun goes like this, then it stays like this for 30 minutes, and then it starts to rise. That's something good, that we gave some time for sun. But then this criteria is not applied equally in all these 10 Scandinavian region. The more you go north, the more this 30 minutes has to reduce until midnight becomes Fajr. The more you go south, the more the gap increases between midnight and Fajr, the more you go south. And it is not even in those places where there is half an hour gap between midnight and the sun, the rise of the sun. That is not the case in all the days of the summer. So from May, June, July, and the first weeks of August, that's not the case. It goes longer, it goes shorter. It goes longer, it could be 15 minutes sometimes, it could be 20 minutes sometimes, it could be half an hour, it could be 1 hour, it could be 1.5 hours, and then it goes back down. So this time is not applicable to entire Sweden or entire Scandinavian region equally. The 12 hours and 30 minutes after Dhuhr, that means 30 minutes after the astronomical midnight, that is not applicable. Definitely, I'm saying with full confidence and full certainty. Why? First of all, this angle, or staying at 30 minutes, according to astronomers, astronomical, I sent emails and letters to more than 70 astronomers to define that. There's a website called timeanddate.com, and they have this time, how long does the sun stay below the horizon, and the moment of its rising back towards sunrise. So that moment, which we can assume that that's when the light starts to change. So according to timeanddate.com, you can see, you can put your city and check the FAJR, check the time gap between the maximum degree which it reaches, let's say 16, and then 15. What is the gap between 15 and 16? There is a big gap, then narrow. So it changes from day to day. It's not 30 minutes every day. You see, sometimes it's bigger than 30 minutes. Sometimes it's lesser than 30 minutes. So the problem is that this website is based on Oslo. I asked in Lund, University of Lund, Astronomical Department. I asked in Stockholm, University of Stockholm. I asked in United States, Yale University. I asked so many astronomers. Many of them, they responded to me positively. Yes, you can depend on this website, and this website is reliable. The person who has made this website and made these calculations, he said that he has depended on NASA's calculation. That means they are the most authentic. And then I received a professor from Stockholm University. He sent me the timetable of NASA, of the timing. Imagine, for 1 month, I asked him, I need the degrees of the movement of the sun below the horizon and its timings. This professor of Stockholm had sent me an email of the timings of the month of Ramadan this year. For each minute, where does sun move from minute to minute, minute to minute, minute. So it goes down each minute, where is the sun? And then it starts to rise up back again. This document is about 600 pages. Each day of these 30 days is about 20 pages. One day, 24 hours is in 20 pages. The whole month is in about 600 pages. So accurate calculations of NASA about and most of the astronomers in the world, they depend on that. I even asked the office of Ayatollah of S Sistani DZ, the astronomical office in Qom, that would you rely on timeanddate.com? He said, yes, I would rely, but yes, we would rely, and you can rely on it as long as it corresponds with your visual sighting. So again, the criteria is we have to see, because that's the easiness of religion, that everybody can do this. It's not so complicated to just look at the sky and look at the change in the brightness of the sky. So as long as it corresponds to your visual sighting. So that's why, according to this, now I'm going to conclude that I said that the angular is wrong. That means 1 o'clock at night is definitely not your Salat al-Fajr. So if you have prayed your Salat al-Fajr 1 o'clock at night and you are in Trollhättan and you are satisfied with what I have said, you have to repeat those salat, because MARAJE, most of the MARAJE, the top MARAJEs, they say if you have prayed any salat before the time, unknowingly, undeliberately, unintentionally, you have to repeat that salat. So as I mentioned, if you trust my investigation, then you shouldn't be praying at that time. What about the time, other theory, which is goes down, stays 30 minutes and comes back? That's not also the case. In Trollhättan and cities go below Trollhättan, it's more than 30 minutes. Our observations was between 2 o'clock and 2:30. That means some days it was 2:05, some days it was 2:10, some days it was 2:15. So it was fluctuating, it was in this range. We could not pinpoint exact because of the deficiency of the eyesight in looking at the sky with those sluggish movements of the brightness. So we could not pinpoint. We were seeing there's a darkness, and after like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, oh, the sky has changed. When did this happen? So, but we could know the average or approximately. We could add 15 minutes, subtract 15 minutes, make precautionary things. But it was after 2 o'clock. So between 2 o'clock to 2:30, were our observations were positive in observing the whiteness and the brightness in the sky. As I mentioned, you all can do that. So. And the thing is here, one should not take these things with sensitivity. I love all the scholars and all the experts who have done their jobs and they have made their holy month of Ramadan timetables. I really respect them, I really love them. It's just an academic difference. Like for example, if I cite the moon, and I was the only person who cited the moon, I did not have another witness. So the community cannot follow my citing. It's not that I'm a liar, no. Their religious responsibility is that they have to have 2 witnesses. They cannot just depend on me. But for me, I have seen it. So I have to do Eid. I have to break fast. The community, if there's no other witness with me, reliable witness, they have to fast. They can't make Eid tomorrow. So it's individual responsibilities. Like a cup of water. I saw that there is najasat in it. I cannot drink from it. You did not see any najasat in it, so you can drink from it. The same thing here. I saw the Fajr. I saw the calculation. I saw the accuracy. To me, this time, which is 12 hours and add 12 hours and 30 minutes to the midday, or after midnight, after astronomical midnight, add 30 minutes. This is definitely wrong according to my findings. So I can't pray in that time, Fajr. Many people, they prayed on that time. And that's the problem. Delay your Fajr. You want to abstain from eating and drinking 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I don't care. But your Salat al-Fajr is very important. Delay your Salat. Don't offer after 12 hours and 30 minutes. Because tomorrow if you realize that my investigation was accurate and authentic, you will have to redo all this Salat which you did at 1:30 or 1:35 or 1:25, like after 12 hours and 30 minutes after midday or after half an hour. So that's what I'm just saying that. But I respect all those ulamas and their the shuyukhs and sayyids and all their timetables. May Allah bless them. They have done also hard work perhaps, you see. But to me, there is error in their findings. But maybe for them, their findings are okay. So if people are satisfied with their finding, they can follow them. I'm not imposing or enforcing people to follow my timetable in Trollhättan. I'm just saying that this is what I found out with certainty, with physical observation, visual observation as the fatwa says, plus according to the astronomical finding. So basically, you can check it by yourself, timeanddate.com, and check out. So I have taken the degrees which were corresponding to our visual sighting, very closest to our visual sighting. So as you can see, this month of the holy month of Ramadan this year, you can see it's the Fajr starts from 2:19, 2:14, 2:07, 2:07. The line is that the Fajr is in the range of 2 o'clock to 2:30 when the light starts to increase. And this is as much as accurate we can get and correspond our visual sightings with the astronomical readings, which are from NASA and which I got it from this lecture. This was a summary of the lecture. If you want to go further in detail lecture, you'll find on YouTube a lengthy lecture, but this is just a summary of how we calculate and on what we depended. First, we depended on our visuals, and then we took the readings which are closest to our visual citation to just make a sense of the FAJR. And as we mentioned, the FAJR is not like this. The unity is the unity of the heart, and I love all our beloved ones around the world, even if they don't apply this method. But my duty is whatever I found with confidence, with certainty, with as close as accuracy I could go with the visual sighting, which is the religious criteria, I'm presenting it to our beloved ones who are living in the Scandinavia or Northern Hemisphere, and they can do their own investigation and try to find out. It will be much nice because it's not so complicated. It's not a rocket science. It's you have to go out and just observe visual observations, and this is also science, because science is based on visual observations and observations. And then we see the calculations which are by NASA, which they are calculating with almost accuracy every single movement. So the sun does not go like this and come back, neither the sun go like this and stays 30 minutes and come back. The sun goes down and then almost it stays in one line, almost with a very sluggish set, and then it rises in a very sluggish movement, slowly. This is very difficult to be observed in the horizon, so it's almost a line like it is presented in timeanddate.com. And then once it starts to rise in a faster pattern. I hope this is clear. If not clear, you can contact me and reach me. And if you need that NASA's timetable and to check out in your region when what is the maximum degree the sun reaches and what is the time when the sun starts to rise. But again, don't depend on this. Check out visually and then check what is most closest readings of this NASA timetable to your visual observations. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring this month of peace and blessings and prosperity. And we can always agree to disagree, and those people who are not satisfied with my findings, I really respect them and love them, and may Allah bless them. And we pray that our Imam comes soon, so then he will be the one who's going to tell us, oh, guy, this is Fajr and this is sunset and everything. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahumma